Let's talk about Mayweather-Pacquiao. How do you see a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight turning out? Break it down for both fighters first and foremost.
I think that styles make fights. I mean, the general thinking is that Floyd will walk Pacquiao down, back him up, and basically dominate him with his hand speed and his boxing intellect. But I just got a gut feeling that Pacquiao can upset Floyd. I just got a gut feeling, and there's no method to my thinking other than the fact that styles make fights. And Pacquiao has that kind of weird style that can discombobulate different boxes. And I don't think Floyd is any exception to the rule, as we saw with Maidana. Maidana took him out of his rhythm in the first fight. But Floyd is another guy. He makes good adjustments. But I just got a gut feeling that Pacquiao wins this fight by a split decision. I think the fight is going to be far more difficult than what people anticipate.
Okay. Let's bring into the equation that Pacquiao struggles against guys that are counter punchers and guys that have good right hands, and Mayweather's got the best. And he's a defensive boxer as well. How does that bring into the mix?
Like I said, I think styles make fights. And would work with other people may not work with Pacquiao. And would work with other people may not work for Pacquiao against Mayweather. You have to wait and see in the fight. I just got a gut feeling that Pacquiao wins that fight by split decision. I'll tell you I'll tell you why I think to see it later on after the fight. But I just got a gut feeling that Pacquiao wins a split decision. If he's there, if Floyd hasn't cut him or busted him up and stopped him inside of 7, and it goes past 7, I like Pacquiao.
Down the stretch?
Yeah, I like Pacquiao down the stretch.
Can Pacquiao knock Floyd Mayweather out?
Well, he hasn't knocked nobody out recently. I don't see why he would or could knock Floyd Mayweather out.
There is a thinking that we will see the Manny Pacquiao that knocked out Ricky Hatton, stopped Miguel Cotto, stopped Oscar De La Hoya. We're going to see that Pacquiao for the Mayweather fight, and that he's just been saving it all back for this big fight. Do you believe that?
Well, I'll tell you, Floyd Mayweather is not none of those guys. Floyd Mayweather is the complete package. Good defense, good offense, good chin, good heart, and a good knowledgeable fighter. It's going to be a difficult fight both ways. This is a difficult fight for both of these guys, especially at this stage of their careers. I think each one of them has lost a step, but I think that this fight is going to bring out the best in each guy.
Would you consider this a super fight?
No, I would have considered it a super fight 5 years ago, but not now.
Why?
Because these guys are running on fumes now. These guys are running on fumes. These guys are not what they were 5 years ago.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Emotionally, it's a super fight for the fans because they come in with the expectation of seeing the two men of 5 years ago. But I think they missed their opportunity 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I think they missed a unique opportunity to give a great fight. Very rarely would you see two guys fight that far. Fight took this long to make a fight. Leonard and Hearns were in my mind, the last two welterweights to put on two masterful fights in both fights. The first fight and the second fight, 8 years apart. They put on masterful performances. And I haven't seen any welterweights live up to those performances since then. I haven't seen welterweights live up to the performance of Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas Hearns in the first and second fights. Those fights were masterful fights because they came and rolled the dice. They weren't overly defensive. They were strictly offensive. They was trying to get each other out of there. And that's what made the fight stand out. Now, can you think of a white welterweight fight that can match up to them? Since those fights, can you think of any welterweight confrontations that can equal up to those two fights? Hard. It's hard to match that there.
No, I would. You couldn't even say De La Hoya Mosley won. No. De La Hoya Trinidad. No.
No. There's no fights since Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns 1 and 2 that can equal up to those performances because the guys came in there with the thought in mind that we're going to gamble tonight. I'm going to try to get you out of here. You're going to try to get me out. And that's exactly what the
only fight that comes to my mind automatically when you say that is when we go a little lower down the weight divisions, Barrera Morales.
I'm talking about just welterweights.
So welterweights, I couldn't tell you. Oh no, I couldn't tell you one fight that.
147 pounders. Well, Hearns and Leonard was bigger the second time around. I think they was fighting at super middleweight.
Yeah.
68?
68.
Well, even at 68, when have you seen two guys lay it on the line the way they've laid it on the and fight 8 years apart? 8 years removed from their first fight, they came back and put on an equal performance. The chemistry, the styles, and nobody was over defensive. Both guys came in there with winning and winning by a knockout on their mind. They was going for knockouts. This is what the fans pay to see. Fans pay to see people take chances. They don't want to see nobody come out there and just be defensive all night and throw 3, 4, 5 punches around. So Floyd will have to come out of his shell. He's going to have to come out of his shell. He's going to have to walk to Manny and make Manny make mistakes. On the other hand, Manny's going to have to throw those punches from all over the place like he usually does, bounce all over the place and throw punches from different angles to try to catch Floyd, to buckle him, to hurt him, to cut him, to do something spectacular.
Can Pacquiao hurt Floyd?
I think each of them can hurt the other. I think Floyd is a very quick, sharp puncher. And sharp punches like that, you don't have to be a big puncher. All you have to do is be sharp and quick combinations. Floyd does that good. So I think each of them has the power to hurt the other.
And there's no rematch clause?
No, I don't think that I think that everything should be put on the table in this one fight and not dependent on rematches and things like that. I think they're going to have to lay it on the line. They're at the end of the road now. They have to lay it on the line. People have waited long enough to see this fight, and now they have to lay it on the line to prove their worth.
Legacy. What does it do for both men's legacy?
I think their legacies would be intact even if they didn't fight. I think their legacies would be intact. But this will give a big boost to both legacies.
If Pacquiao were to win, where does this put Manny Pacquiao?
If Pacquiao was to win this fight, that would put him way up there, way up there. The guy that beat Floyd Mayweather, he'd be in boxing heaven.
And for Floyd?
If Floyd beat Pacquiao, they're going to say, "Oh, I told you so." Everybody will say, "I told you," "I told you so." It would have meant more if he beat him 5 years ago.
But if he beat him 4 or 5 years ago, who would he be fighting today?
The same guys he's been fighting up until now. Floyd Mayweather, it's different fighters in history that can command and demand the opponents they face. Mm-hmm. So he wouldn't have been hurting for opponent. There would have been Keith Thurman, guys of that nature, Earl Spence, these kind of guys. These are the kind of guys that Floyd would be fighting now. I mean, look who he's been fighting up until now. Floyd gets what he wants because he's Floyd Mayweather. And most experts say, well, he's paid his dues. He has a right to do that.
Okay.
So the real trick now is, can he compete with the young guys, Errol Spence?
He's only got 2 fights left. So he beats Pacquiao, then he's got 1 fight left. If he loses to Pacquiao, he's still got 1 fight left. And I guess if he wins that fight, then the last fight could be against Amir Khan. I guess.
Yeah, but that don't quite catch my appetite.
I mean,
You know?
people would love to see him fight Keith Thurman.
I'd like to see him fight Keith Thurman. There's intrigue, you know? There's intrigue.